I'm Julie Bogart from Brave Writer. We are reading from A Gracious Space Winter, Day 17, and the title is Of Trophies, Ribbons, and Medals. A popular theme in parent discussion groups is to trumpet the lack of value of trophies, ribbons, and medals for participation in sports or the arts. The idea goes that if everyone gets one, no one earns one. The thought is like this, that kids need to learn that reward comes from achievement, that losses have a real impact on the outcome of a season or effort, and that the reception of a physical symbol for beating other teams, or perhaps successfully performing to a higher standard than other performers, is meaningful or important, not rote, not cheapened by everyone gets one. Old school parents trot out their memories of coaches who yelled and practices that beat up their egos and trophies they finally won, how worth it all was, and how they attained an impeccable character only by being rewarded for winning. Winning proved that all that hard work and pain were worth it. The trophy told a story. These kids were better than everyone else. Their work was more impressive at the end. Beating people and having proof in the form of a trophy produced pride. This group of boys or girls could know that they stacked up as superior people, at least in this sport. Not so fast, sweetheart. Spare me the lectures about how soft this generation is becoming. We need to ask the obvious question, is winning the goal of childhood activities? Should it be? When I was 10 years old, I joined a swim team at our tennis club. Let's pause to appreciate that I was in a family who could afford swim team and a tennis club membership. Unlike the typical 10-year-old, I was small, as in tiny. My last name was Sweeney, and I was called Teeny Sweeney. The girls on this team ranged from ordinary girl to hefty, and then there was me. Needless to say, in 4 years of competing, I never won a single race. Not one. I never even placed, unless you count 7th or last. My times improved. I beat my own times repeatedly because I went to every practice and I tried hard. I had no ability to beat girls 6 inches taller than I was, however. I finally quit the team in 8th grade. At my last meet, I won my heat in breaststroke, first time ever. I would get the chance to swim for a ribbon. Oh wait, the loudspeaker crackled to clarity. Julie Sweeney is disqualified for improper strokes. My feet had come to the surface too many times. Of course, I couldn't have beat the other girls without that advantage. I slunk away from the blocks. The last race of my illustrious career found me swimming the 3rd leg of a relay race. If you know swimming, that is the slowest leg. Naturally, going into the 3rd length of the pool, my team was in 1st place. Coming out of it, we were in 4th, thanks to my tiny body and short legs. The last swimmer had to make up for my lost time, and did, but we finished 3rd. My one and only swimming ribbon to show for 4 years of swim team commitment. I remember the drive home. I felt defeated. I wondered why I had bothered to swim at all. Sure, I loved getting into the pool in the rain, sweating in the sauna, giggling with my buddies, licking dry green jello out of the palms of my hands for energy before races, huddling under towels, shivering and dripping wet, cheering for each other. But what was the point? I was a terrible swimmer because of my anatomy. I couldn't control that. I had failed. Everything I controlled, I did well. Showing up on time, wearing the right gear, trying really hard, applying the coach's advice, improving my speed and form, being a good teammate, and taking criticism. Nothing to show for it. That's how it felt. Of course, there was a lot to show for swimming. It was good for my health and my self-discipline. It was good to be on a team where I wasn't a star. When I was in gymnastics, I was the girl who got good scores. In swimming, I learned humility and what it was like to work hard even when I wasn't talented or a part of the best team. I learned to appreciate endurance sports. I became a competent swimmer in pools and in the ocean. No small thing growing up in Southern California. I spent many happy hours in the pool with friends, working hard, learning about my body and what it could be pressed to do beyond its natural aptitudes. Would a pizza party or a little trophy at the end of my seasons have robbed me of those lessons? Would it have undermined how I understood achievement and accomplishment and led me to a life of mediocrity? Would a participation trophy have meant nothing? I'd like to suggest the opposite. I might have been able to interpret my years on that team in a different light, in the light of commitment, hard work, and shared joy at my teammates' successes and struggles. I wish someone had said, "Great having you on the team. Thanks for participating." Children and teens should be encouraged to participate in all kinds of sports and activities, regardless of their natural acumen and aptitude. Why should piano only be for the prodigy? Why should baseball only be played by kids with great hand-eye coordination? What good is it to reduce all the effort and learning of playing sports to success on the field or in the pool or on the balance beam? Why should any sports team for kids be about winning, frankly? Winning is a happy end result when several factors are in place. Parents have money to spend on the sport. In some sports, the investment is significant. 2, parents have time to coach and know how to do it well. 3, the team winds up with a surprising collection of naturally gifted athletes. 4, that team gels and they get on a winning streak. That only happens for one team per league, literally. Winning can't be everything. For kids, it should barely be a thing. Our children are growing. They are discovering how their bodies work, how to play hard, how to show up when they are cranky and hungry, how to take direction and practice skills, and how to adjust to new locations, other teams, and weather. 99% of our kids will not go on with any sport in college or beyond. If we reduce a team's season success to whether or not they got more wins than all the other teams, are we saying that all that effort that went into the sport is of no value? We are forgetting to honor and recognize the achievements that will build self-esteem, the real kind of self-esteem that comes from team play and hard work, not the kind that comes only from being the ones who trounced the other teams. It's fine to give an extra trophy for winning. Go ahead, make it good-sized. It's equally, perhaps more important, to also honor the season's effort and commitment by the losers. Trophies and pizza seem to be doing a good job, in my opinion. Real life says there is room for Coke and Pepsi. Heck, there's room for homemade sweet tea at the local diner in addition to the big brand names. Not everything any of us does depends on a will to win or even being the best. Sometimes being not the best is the best choice. In fact, being a team player that loses graciously would be a fabulous outcome of a season. We could use more adults like that, couldn't we? As home educators, we give our children the gift of valuing their growth, efforts, and curiosity every day, without grades, without measurements that tell them how they stack up with other kids. We do this because we've come to believe that their success as people doesn't depend on being better than others, but being the best people they can be, given their limits and talents. Their milestones are worth celebrating. Their efforts deserve rewards and respect. Their achievements are respectable, whether or not they are at the top of their field, class, grade, level, or age. Why? Because their achievements are theirs. If we teach kids to value their efforts and show them all that they learn when they participate with commitment and energy, besides winning, we help them become people who build their self-understanding from the inside out rather than outside in. They will not be dependent on others to tell them who they are. They will have a right, sober, honest perspective of themselves that they've built from the myriad experiences they chose to explore. That perspective will come from self-awareness, not a championship trophy. That self-understanding is worth an extra large pepperoni and a little gold statue in my book. At least that. Quote of the day, a little recognition goes a long way. That's from Bob. Sustaining thought, order the extra large pepperoni and celebrate the achievement of participation first. So this is one of my favorite concepts to talk about. I'm a marathon runner. I've run 4. I've run a series of other smaller races. And one of the reasons that people enjoy running a marathon race as opposed to just running 26.2 miles in their neighborhoods is because they get a medal. They get a medal for crossing the finish line, not for breaking records, not for placing in the top 5, not because they're the fastest for their age group, but because they showed the commitment to running at the same time as all these other people on a pre-marked course, and they crossed the finish line. The medal literally says on it, finisher. I have a hat for my very first marathon that says finisher, because the achievement of moving my body for 26.2 miles all at one time was such a remarkable commitment to my own self-discipline and my desire to be a runner that it deserves a medal. Do you understand? Even adults get participation trophies. You get them for half marathons, for 10Ks, even for 5Ks. Because when we reach adulthood, the goal of our participation in sports is not about winning. I'm not trying to get a scholarship into college. I'm not expecting running to become my secondary career. Setting up races and offering participation medals or trophies is an incentive to reward me for my self-discipline. I mean, I could go run 26.2 miles here in Beckett Ridge in Ohio. And guess what? I have. I've run in my trainings all the way up to 24 miles. Couldn't I tack on the final 2.2 to make it 26.2? Yes. So why do we enter races? So that we get the medal. So I can carry it around. Do you know what I do when I get the medal? I wear it for a whole day in public. I want people to know I actually did it. I buy the photograph and frame it and hang it in my office because I want to know that I had validation for all that effort. When we're looking at our children then and we're thinking about not just sports, but even academics, didn't we homeschool them to pull them out of the grading system where we were where the school is more interested in how your child stacks up against other kids rather than how they stack up against their own growth and progress? So if we have that outlook on their educations, why wouldn't we also translate that into sports? I was quite a good gymnast as a child and a terrible swimmer. And you know what's weird? I think swimming maybe taught me more. In gymnastics, I remember we would do these warm-ups before we got started, you know, where you had to stretch your limbs. I never once had to work for splits. I was born with splits. I could do right splits, center splits, and left splits. I think my left splits were off the ground by this much at the beginning, and within a matter of a few months, I was all the way down. I could jump in the air, land in the splits. I learned a back handspring because someone showed it to me, not because I was helped. They just said, here's what a back handspring looks like. And I said, like this, and I did one. And my PE teacher freaked out. She was shocked. She didn't know anyone could learn one that way. My body was built for gymnastics. So getting good scores at meets was fun because I always did well. But I didn't learn what I learned in swimming. Swimming was hard. It took discipline. It took commitment. It took showing up and losing and still wanting to come back. There was a kind of growth that happened for me because I had the opportunity to explore both what I was good at and what I was not good at. Do you know what championship trophies do to kids? they funnel them into a certain skill set. And they say the skill that is open to you is the one you're good at. And the one you're not so good at, you should get off that team. You're holding them back. You're making it so they aren't winning. When I was a kid, we had intramural sports in junior high. After school, you could just sign up and play any sport, and they would do them throughout the year. So the fall was soccer, followed by flag football, followed by basketball, followed by volleyball, followed by, softball. I mean, it was just this seasonal sport thing, and you could sign up, and it didn't matter how good you were. You got to play just because you wanted to be there. That's missing. What we have today is this notion of specialization at such a young age that a kid who wants to play a variety of sports has to choose based on their talent level. And then they're funneled into select sports where now they're on the special team and they're going to travel all over the nation and, or all over the state playing at this top level. Now, I'm not against that. I got a lot of value out of being good at something. And I understand, because I've had kids, the fun it is of being on a winning team and being competent at your skill. But it's sad to me that there is so much emphasis put on this softening of the human psyche because we're giving participation trophies to 6-year-olds who are just learning how to show up at practice and are learning how to listen to a coach and how to cooperate and how to remember the rules of the game. Yes, they deserve trophies. Are we supposed to say to them that their participation isn't meaningful until they've won a championship? A 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old? For whom a participation trophy is really fun. They put it on their shelf. It reminds them of their friendships. It gives them a sense of accomplishment. Why not? Why not? They're going to be competing for the rest of their lives, for jobs, for college access, for spouses perhaps. Why not allow kids the season from the time they're little till they're in high school to at least explore a variety of opportunities and be rewarded for the commitment they show? I think the only way these trophies stop being meaningful is if we treat them like they're not meaningful, if we think we're doing it to keep them from having hurt feelings. But that's not why I gave out participation trophies when my kids were in sports. We had them because, hello, good job. You showed up. You went to practice. You got on the court and got beat and didn't stop playing, didn't throw a tantrum, didn't quit. You came back the next week and got beat again. Good for you. I want kids who grow up knowing how to do that. It's easy to win. When you win, the momentum is different. You feel happy, you feel cocky, you feel better than. Are we really going to just reinforce that with a trophy and say, not only do you already feel superior to everyone, but now here's proof? I mean, really? Is that the goal? Is winning the ultimate goal in life? Is there a finish line in life where you cross it and you've won? Being able to be both talented in gymnastics and not talented in swimming helped shape me as a person. Both were beneficial to me. Being good at acting was awesome for me. I got all the good parts. I loved theater. Being lousy at tennis was just fun. I got to play with my friends on a big tennis court with a tennis racket that was half my size. My dad and I got to play father-daughter doubles in a tournament, and I won best sportsmanship because I wasn't a good tennis player. He was great. That's why we even stayed in the tennis team, in the match. But that was fun. Tennis was fun. I didn't have to be good at it to have fun at tennis. And then I loved being good at theater. I think we undervalue the joy of participation, and we overvalue talent and skill and accomplishment. And yet participation is how we grow into well-rounded people. I'm glad that I've done piano, swimming, tennis, gymnastics, theater. I mean, what a wide array of options. I played flag football and soccer and basketball. Can you picture me playing basketball? I'm 5'2" now. I was 4'7" when I started high school. Can you imagine? I mean, that was like throwing it up to the top of the redwood sequoias. But I played because it was fun. And no one told me I couldn't or hoped I wouldn't get on their team, because that's now how it was in junior high. I was, the other day, just building back up. I'm on my 4th or 5th week of marathon training right now, and I had a surgery almost 2 years ago that derailed me from a marathon I was supposed to run in. I was, a week before the marathon, I had this bowel resection, a ruptured small intestine that was genetic, but no, congenital. No one knew it was there. And so I couldn't run, obviously. I was recovering in a hospital when the marathon happened. And so I didn't get to run it. And I lost the whole foundation that I had built up over 4 or 5 years of running. And I had to start over. And it has been the gruelingest year and a half, because my times are slow. Running feels hard. I didn't have the breathing. So I put myself back on this program to try and get myself back in. And I've now done 3 long runs, 9, 11, and 12 miles. I did the 12-miler yesterday. And I remember I literally had to say to myself before I started yesterday, it's okay to go slow. You don't have to have a personal best. You can take a break. If you need to stop after 6 miles and pause for 5 minutes before you start again, I give you permission to do that. And the more I took the pressure off myself, the more I started enjoying running. I have enjoyed it because I stopped competing with even my phantom, younger, healthier self. And I started getting back into the meaning of preparation and progress and the experience of one foot in front of the other for a sustained period of time. We need to value that. Our kids are facing all kinds of challenges all the time, from hormones to bodies that are growing at an incommensurate rate with their coordination, with a brain that is exploding with new receptors to information and analysis and ideas they never considered, and understandings of their parents they used to ignore and accept as true and now are questioning. This is all going on, and it's influencing and interfering with whether or not they're good at baseball. We want to be proud of them for putting one foot in front of the other, for facing a challenge when they don't feel naturally gifted or talented, for contributing to a team even when they're not the best member of it, maybe showing them how to be a good teammate when you're not the star player is the whole lesson of that season. And I think what I'm reacting to, in part, is this notion that somehow we are raising soft children when we don't focus all the time on punishment and reward. We are stronger when we have a sober, realistic perspective of who we are, not when the world around us defines us by their rewards or their punishments. We want self-aware kids, kids who can take responsibility for who they are and know their limits as well as their talents. And we want kids who know how to encourage the teammate that isn't gifted and support the one who is, and not be a rival for no good reason. That's what we want. That's what a well-rounded human being is. I'm going to tell you one more marathon story because, of course, they're my main source currently. I have a running partner. Her name is Patrice, and she's been running distances longer than me and is naturally faster. She's just a step or two faster in her pace. We can train together. We can run together. She always pushes the pace for me a little bit, and I love that about her. But we've run 4 marathons together, and we discovered something. When we hit mile 20, she's faster than me. And the way she does mile 20 to the end is she runs, and then she walks a little bit, and she runs and walks a little bit. And weirdly, she crosses the finish line faster than I do with that strategy. For me, I have to settle into this slow gait, and I cannot stop, because if I stop, my body goes into recovery and I cannot start up again. So I just sustain this one consistent, slow pace during the last 6 miles. Now, here's what's interesting. The first time that we separated at mile 20, she gained distance from me very quickly, and she finished probably 5 minutes ahead of me. But on the last race we ran together, she only finished within a minute or two ahead of me. And here's what happened. I found a pace that was mine, but I had improved. And she had continued to improve also. Her best time, I think, was in her last race with me. And what I discovered was we were both equally happy at the end of the race. There was no, oh, Julie came in second, or Patrice is just faster. It was both of us catering to what we did well to end the race in a way that felt satisfying for each of us. Now, that's what I want for my kids, to know what their pace is, to know their style of pacing, to be satisfied with the job they do at the other end of whatever they tackle. And it actually doesn't matter that she beat me by a few minutes. We had joy in the journey, we had joy in the separation, and we had joy in the reunion at the end. And I think that is exactly what we want our kids to know as homeschooled students. We are so busy competing with the phantom of school half the time. We're comparing our children to each other or other homeschooled kids. And what we really want is for them to know, are they the kind that sprint, walk to the finish? Or are they the kind that settle into a pace that's comfortable for them? They ignore who's around them and they just go until they're done, whatever time that is. I have 5 children. Noah stopped any kind of recognizable school at age 16. He took an additional year past when most of his friends went to college to not go to college. He finally went when he was 19. Johanna, traditional. She mixed local school with homeschool for high school and went off to college at the normal time. Same with Jacob. By Liam, he did an extra year of junior high and took a year off in between high school and college and started college at 20. And then Katrin did 4 years of traditional public high school and went right off to college. Every single one of them was different. All different timings, all different pacings, all different needs. Is 18 the only deadline for education? If you don't get it all in by 18, have you somehow missed it? No one ever taught me Jane Austen. I had to figure that out in my 30s. Did you know that? Save some of the good stuff for adulthood. It'll read so much better. If you don't cover everything now, just think of it as you're leaving a secret out there for them to discover, a little buried treasure to discover as an adult. Your job isn't to cover everything, isn't to hit a finish line, isn't to finish first. Your job is simply to encourage full-hearted, full-throated participation so that your child develops the self-awareness needed to know the pace that works for them, to know the skill set they have, the contribution they're supposed to make, and that they can feel good about all of it. That's what we need. That's what a well-rounded human being is. That's what a team player is. That's what a good spouse is. That's what a good parent is. And all of you get participation trophies from me because homeschooling is a challenging task. And it is necessary for you to feel validated. Yeah, Kimberlyn says, as homeschoolers, if we're not satisfied with the public education system, why do we keep comparing ourselves to it? Well, of course, insecurity. I mean, that is the default. I call it the ghost of public school past. She's whispering in your left ear, telling you, oh, well, other kids this age are doing X, Y, and Z, right? Oh, Stephanie, you haven't read Jane Austen yet and you're in your 30s. Listen, I didn't read her until I was in my 30s. What a treat awaited me. loved reading Austen in my 30s. So just be glad that it wasn't ruined for you in a college class. I hear that from other people. So start with, Colin Firth, the A&E BBC version of Pride and Prejudice, the miniseries, and then read the book, and you will love it, I promise. Okay, so I need to get going here, but what I want to tell you before I go is two amazing things. One, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and we have a little download for you and your kids. You can print this out at bravewriter.com/heart, H-E-A-R-T, okay? bravewriter.com heart. And what you do is you print these out, and then you can cut them into little individual ones like this. I have a whole bunch of them here. Look at this cute guy. And your kids can draw one out of a bowl and then do a free write, or turn it into a Valentine, or use it in an art collage, whatever you like. But these are our gift to you for a happy Valentine's Day. I printed mine on cardstock, so they're a little bit sturdier, but you can do it on plain paper too. bravewriter.com/heart, H-E-A-R-T. The last thing I want to tell you is that today, episode 1 of season 2 of the Brave Writer podcast just dropped. So go to blog.bravewriter.com and you will see my very first interview with the lovely Rebecca Spooner of Hip Homeschooling. That conversation is so worthwhile. I really, really hope that you will go see her. Her website is hiphomeschoolingblog.com, and our conversation ranges all of the elements of the Brave Writer lifestyle. Season 2 is all about how the Brave Writer lifestyle is being implemented in families just like yours. So I'm very happy to introduce you to that. Subscribe to the feed. Please, 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 please leave reviews on iTunes. That's how we help this circulate and get out to other home educators and parents like you. So if you leave a review, I will be so grateful. That's one way you can thank us for providing free broadcasts that encourage you in your homeschool. So thank you very much for that in advance. If you do not yet have a copy of A Gracious Space Winter, you can click the link in the description of this episode and buy one. We have 5 days for free that you can download, no strings attached, or you can purchase the Kindle version or the hard copy through Amazon. We love having these broadcasts every week. If you want more broadcasts like this in your life, join the Homeschool Alliance, CoachJulieBogart.com. Otherwise, I will see you again for sure next Monday at 11:30 on Facebook Live. Until then, live honestly, write bravely. I'm Julie Bogart from Brave Writer. Give yourself a medal. You deserve it. Bye, everyone.